Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the Mizzen Mast herself.
Sarah.
Or is it Miss Mast? Anyway. And today we're doing a review of Port Royal Big Box. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. In Port Royal, players are trying to gain as much influence as they can out of the Caribbean Sea. But if they push their luck too much, they might take home nothing for the day. Over the course of the game, players will hire people, trade or fight off ships, and go on expeditions. The game end is triggered when a player gets to 12 influence points. And when the round is finished, whoever has the most points wins. Okay, so Will, why did we get this?
So we were introduced to this game on yucata.de. That's yucata.de for free. So
right. Yucata is a site that has a variety of games and they do not have membership. You can donate to help support, but yeah.
Yes. So we liked it, bought a physical version, and then bought some extra expansions.
We bought just one contract. One more contract. I think that was the only one we got.
Yeah.
Because we were, I guess, didn't know, weren't aware, because on Yucata, those are the only two that I believe are available on the digital play. Mm-hmm. So we didn't look into or know that there was more to get. And at that point, we had to import it because this was before Steve Jackson got rights. So we were importing like the multilingual edition because it had multiple languages.
And I want to say there was like one other distributor.
Yeah, I think somebody else had it after or before.
There's a lot of versions of this game.
Yes.
But now, this one is back to Pegasus Spiel.
Well, Pegasus Spiel has always had it.
Right, but this is it directly from them.
This is them coming out with direct. As far as I remember, I think there's only English rules. So this is the English edition of everything.
Yes.
And that's basically it. We wanted to have everything because we didn't know about some of the aspects. And this is only $25.
Yeah.
I'm sure we spent more on the import of the base game and just one more contract. So very affordable.
Yes, because it has the base game, just one more contract. The adventure begins, the promo, as well as something that wasn't released, set sail.
Right. And now we're going to go over each of those aspects, starting with the base game. So what do we like about the base game?
It's fun with lots of interesting mechanics in the character abilities to play.
I like that it's a push your luck game that does more. Like, I've liked a lot of push your luck games, but usually a lot of them are just collection.
Yeah.
You collect a thing and it just sits in front of you.
Or bang or bust.
Yeah, or bang or bust.
Yeah, or boo.
Right. But here, those abilities that the different cards have can affect and interact with your pushing your luck. So it's just a little bit more meat on that bone. But what we don't like, at least Will really doesn't.
The game control you.
Yeah.
So when you're pushing your luck, you bust when you have two ships of the same type. So in this case, they would be the same color, or in this game, the same name. So barks would be one type of color, flutes would be one type of color. So I got a flute. All right, keep going. Got some different other cards, different types of ships. Another flute. I busted. This game can have it. So first card, flute. Second card, flute. Busted. Okay, that's my turn.
And it sometimes can feel like it does it to you several times in a game. And you're like...
And in a row.
And in a row, but yet everyone else has taken a turn, between you, but you keep busting.
And there's Sarah like, I need another table for the rest of these cards.
Yeah. So, it can get that way. So, who this is for is just gamers of all skill level. I mean, you do need to like push your luck, and there are people out there that do not like push your luck.
Right.
This game would not be for you.
Right.
But if you enjoy push your luck, I think anybody really... there might be a slight learning curve because those character abilities are so different from other games.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. So moving on to just one more contract. This is an expansion, so you have to play it with the base game. And what we like is the new characters and the ships.
Yes. They, expand upon everything we like on the base game and give new variety on the ships, because previously ships were this amount of money.
Yep.
You're either taking it on your turn, getting that money, or you're taking it on someone else's turn, paying one of the coins you would get to the person whose active turn it is. This one has it's worth this much money, but you will also choose to give someone else some money.
Yeah, and I like to do that where if it's my active turn, I'll leave that in display for someone else to take, because then they'll have to give me one of the coins, and potentially they'd give me the other coin. If we're in a 2-player game, I'm definitely getting the other coin. So there's a lot of fun strategy with those ships. And like you said, the new characters. There's just so much more interesting things to do with them.
Yeah. I will say that also this expansion is split into 2 parts.
Yes.
So this part that we're talking about can be played without the second part.
Right. Because the second part is one we don't really care for, and it's the contracts, which is in the name of the expansion. Contracts are hit or miss just in terms of whether you can do them, because they rely on you usually getting a certain group of characters or just meeting a certain criteria. Because this is a push your luck game and there's so much just randomness, you could just potentially never accomplish it and your other opponents get them all.
Yeah.
So it feels really imbalanced.
Yeah, well, goals for push your luck games are very, very dicey.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you don't have the control that you need in order to make those goals meaningful.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's competitive or cooperative, which you can play both styles with the contracts.
Yep.
You still have that problem.
Agreed.
So it has that fundamental issue.
Right. So this is where I kind of wish on Yucata you could choose to just play with the characters and ships and not play with the contracts. Unfortunately on Yucata, if you're choosing just one more contract, you're playing with everything. But when you play it, the physical version at home, you can just shuffle in the ships and the characters and leave those contracts in the box, and you're going to have a great time.
The weird thing is it even says that in the rules that you can do that.
It does, but whatever the developers who implemented it, they gave it all, not partial.
Yeah.
So who this is for is going to be those who just want more in their Port Royal. They want more variety or interesting aspects. But I do believe it's going to be for intermediate and up, because it does add more complexity.
Yes.
Okay. The adventure begins. What do we like, Will?
It is so vastly different.
It's such a different experience.
Because there's a narrative aspect that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it is surprisingly compelling. It's only on cards, and it's a very small story. But after the first, we've only played 1 chapter. It's 5 chapters. I want to play the next chapter. There's a little bit of a hook. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I want to know where it goes.
Yes.
So the story is great. And then the gameplay.
Yeah, it has this, we played the cooperative
right.
element. So we have to work together, and some of the decisions we make are vastly different than when we played a normal game, because we need to achieve
these
missions. And if we only flipped up 2 cards, but those are the 2 cards that we need, we're just going to stop there, because we don't want to bust. We want to move the game forward.
And we might want those cards for the next turn.
Yeah, because another element that's added into the whole thematic element is at certain points the game will check whether or not you've achieved certain things. If you haven't, it leads you one path. If you have, it leads you a different path.
Right.
So you haven't even have variety as you're playing through a chapter.
Right. Now, we didn't play the competitive, but we did read the rules, and even that, you are still going to make slightly different choices, because you also need to meet certain criteria and achieve some of those missions and get to a certain point. So you're still trying to be selfish. You're not really working with other people. But again, the choices you make will be slightly different than just a basic game that doesn't have this narrative framework.
Yeah. The other thing I like is as you set things up, it'll ask for different cards to then be shuffled into your main deck, meaning that deck is now changing on you from chapter to chapter.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing all those cards and what they add to the game.
Yeah.
So what we don't like, which isn't much, well, actually, one of them's pretty bad. The rules. The rules are terribly written.
Yeah, when we were trying to set up, we had to go on to BGA or BGG to try to figure out what's going on, because some of these things just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Apparently, we are not alone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who can't get through the rules, and this thing's kind of tricky. And if you mess up setup, it will greatly affect your experience. One person was like, I don't see why everyone is complaining. This is easy. Well, that's because they set up the event deck wrong. They put all the cards but one when you're supposed to put one card but not the rest in it. So, yeah. And there's other issues too. Just it is not clear how to set up the game.
Right.
The other thing is for the co-op, this is one of those co-ops where you have to successfully complete a chapter to move on to the next one. Now, granted, it's not a long game, but there were some people who said they had to play the first one like 5 or 6 times to win it. Each time you lose, you start with a little bit more money, and that makes it a little bit easier, but that can still be really frustrating.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we finished the first one, so we'll see how it goes with the rest of them.
Yeah.
So who is this for?
I would say for those who want something different,
Oh, yeah.
as well as those who are very familiar with Port Royal.
Right. It really takes a level of just knowledge and experience with the game, but you need to be able to slightly alter your thinking, which is where I think some people really trip up with the co-op.
Yeah.
Because you do have to work together and you are making different decisions because you're not just trying to be selfish and just get all the money.
Yeah. In base game, you're trying to make optimal turns.
Mm-hmm.
In the co-op game, optimal turns aren't going to be what wins you the chapter.
Exactly.
You may look at it and go, well, I can at least do this, but by you doing that moves us ahead. That's the best move.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the brand new standalone game, Make Sail. You know, I think we forgot to point out The Adventure Begins is an expansion to the base game. You use the base game components with it.
Right.
Okay, but Make Sail.
It's a completely new deck.
Yes.
With different rules. And the idea is that it's going to teach you how to get used to Port Royal.
Right. It's very quick to play. Again, it's a real race to the finish, even more so than the base game, because it's so slimmed down. There's no character ability. Well, they keep the sailors, so you have the swords to fight off ships, but you have no other manipulating abilities. The passengers are just straight points. So when you take one, it's just points. It's sitting there doing nothing for you, which granted is typically what I don't like about some pushover.
And then there's the other one that takes ships, and then they're worth more points the more you take, but then that changes the distribution of your deck.
Right.
What it really teaches is the overall structure of Port Royal.
Right.
So you have the discovery phase where you're flipping up cards, trying not to bust, and you have the trading phase where everybody's buying stuff.
Yes. So the downside is it only sort of prepares you for the base game because it only goes over those aspects, but it doesn't go over the intricacies that those specialized characters give you. So it is good for someone who probably has never played a push your luck game before. Like you're really just introducing the concept of push your luck and you want a quick game. So who this is for is going to be a intro teaching tool. And again, those who want a very fast game.
Yes. If you're itching for Port Royal but know it's going to take too much time, this is the one you'll pick out.
I think we played it in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it just flew by.
So the last thing that's in here is the Gambler promo. So why don't you tell us what the Gambler does?
So the Gambler is when you buy it, you have the ability on your active turn to do the discovery, use it. We just kind of turn it sideways to show that it's used because you can only use it once per active turn. When activated, you automatically flip up 4 cards.
And it does have to be done at the beginning. You can't have already flipped over any cards.
Right. So you choose to do that. If you bust, you bust.
Yep.
If you don't bust, then when it comes time for you to end your discovery phase, you get to take 1 additional card.
Yep. So you're gambling that those 4 cards aren't going to bust you, and then you're able to take more. So that's really cool. So what we like about it is it really does expand the push your luck aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And it gives you a good reward for doing so. I mean, being able to take an extra card.
Oh, no. I had a gambler, and I breezed through to victory.
You definitely did.
Because I just had card advantage.
Yeah, well, it is, because that's what it does.
Yes.
What we don't like is there are going to be people who don't like the ability. It's just too much push your luck. The other thing, there's only 4 copies that get added to the deck, so you just may never see one.
Yeah.
So, but this is going to be for those players who want to just add a little bit more spice to their game.
Yep.
So that covers all of the modules in here. So we're
for $25.
For $25, that is insane. So who is Port Royal, the big box for?
Those people who have maybe experienced Port Royal, like it, and just want everything.
Yeah, it's such an easy, inexpensive option. Or if you've gotten it piecemeal, but you know, like it doesn't all fit in the box anymore, you've had to do some weird, like make a box for it or something.
Yeah. Or your thing looks all ratty.
Yeah.
Because you played it so much.
Yeah, or if you have any type of accessibility issues with the other editions, this is probably a good one to shift to. And I honestly think if at this point you're a person who's never played Port Royal, but you like push your luck games and you want a little bit more meat on your bone, I would say try this. Because again, $25 is not a lot to waste if you end up not liking it. But you're going to have a lot of options in here. And
if you're still not sure if you were that type of person who is a big push your luck fan, we want to remind you, Yucata, YUCATA.de. You can try it absolutely free.
Yep. All right, our ratings.
So for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Port Royal Big Box roll for you?
It rolled a 6. So this is one of those interesting games that I absolutely love playing it. I really don't win this game, but I enjoy the gameplay of it so much that I keep asking to play it. And with the big box, it gives me all the options. And I am really super excited that we now have the adventure begins, because I really enjoyed that first chapter and I'm looking forward to playing it again. I don't know how much replayability the whole campaign will have. I think it probably depends on if we could play it with other people. But I am definitely glad that I feel like this is an upgrade for us from our previous edition. So I'm 100% happy with this edition.
For me, it critted us. 6. I always like Port Royal. It's a go-to game for me. Whether it's a filler or the game of the night where we even play multiple games of it. It's what I reach for. And with this version in addition, I have all the options, like Sarah says. So I can beef it up with more players, more things to do, more stuff going on. It's fantastic, and it's a dirt cheap price.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure we paid way more for just the first expansion and the first edition because of having to import it. So thankfully this is a English edition release. So yeah, go get it.
Let's just say there's not many free games out there that I spend this much money on.
True, we could just keep playing it on Yucata. I mean, granted, we'd only be playing this in the just one contract, but that is a lot of the game. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so 12 out of 12, highly recommend Port Royal Big Box. All right, Sarah. What's your pirate name?
Oh, you always come up with the hard questions. I don't know. What would be my pirate name?
Dread Pirate Meeple?
Ooh, I like
Meepleton?
That. I am the Dread Pirate Meepleton. Arr. What about you?
This one I actually don't know. I would be Governor Meepleton. You're family, though, so I made you a privateer, so it's all fine.
I have 2 names. Ooh.
There you go. And we've been Rolling with Reviews. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2 That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanoman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.